the American people stand firm in the faith which has inspired this nation from the beginning. We believe that all men have a right to equal justice under law and equal opportunity to share in the common good. We believe that all men have the right to freedom of thought and expression. We believe that all men are created equal because they are created in the image of God. From this faith, we will not be moved.
Hello, and welcome to the Freedom of Thought podcast. I am your host, Paladino Joey, or Joey Awajan. Freedom of Thought is available on all of your favorite podcasting apps. I thank each and every one of you once and always for downloading and listening to this show. It's always a pleasure to be back on board with you once again today, as we are going to dive into what's been going on, what's been getting talked about and debated throughout everywhere. The eclipse of April the 8th, 2024. Again, I'm not going to come out and have this big, long essay about what's going to happen and, the significance of it, this and that. But, I mean, it is kind of fascinating to think of the, possibilities of, just that it's a pretty rare anomaly what's taking place because it's the second time in 7 years that the total eclipse is basically going across a large stretch of the United States of America. And a second opportunity for us locally to possibly see, here in the Twin Cities anywhere for myself, to see a 75% eclipse if it doesn't rain this time. There's talk of that total eclipses in the same place, like the same location, happen every, on average, I guess, every 375 years. And there's a certain area like where it's like X marks the spot, where it's literally just 7 years apart. So pretty impressive. And an ongoing debate, of course, a major media news outlet's going to quote-unquote fact check and debunk it one way or another, so I'm not sure where to go with it. But talk is how there are 7 cities along the path of this total eclipse. You know how it's a path, obviously, and the timing and all that, because of how the Earth works and the Sun works and all that, and the Moon and all that with the orbits. And yes, the Earth is round, in my opinion. It is. Has to be, actually, in my opinion. But there are 7 cities with the name Nineveh, and this country's really fallen into sin in so many ways. And another event that took place, a couple of rare and unexpected events that have taken place in the last few days. When you have New Jersey with an earthquake, almost a 5 magnitude earthquake. They just don't happen. Earthquakes like that just simply don't happen really in that part of the country very often. I also have now been following a channel on YouTube. Now, I apologize here. I would like to have it up, but I'll try to get it here in a second. I apologize. Yes, the Live Global Earthquake Monitor, or Global Quake, is the actual name of the channel. It is constantly going, where you can get earthquake, notifications and such, but it's also monitoring earthquakes all over the planet 24/7. So it's like always streaming, which is incredibly fascinating at the end of the day. it honestly is. Like, you have some in Japan, you have this, and you kind of learn of certain parts of the world where maybe there's a lot more activity going on in the underground than you might have expected, like Alaska and such. But again, 7 cities along the path of the 2024 eclipse that's going to take place in just a couple of days here, April the 8th. This is late April the 6th that I'm recording right now, after 10 o'clock here in the in Central Time. 7 cities named Nineveh, and the fact that this country has fallen into sin in so many ways, with how, like, pretty much everything goes with this administration. Leadership, I mean, when your leadership is this reprobate, they literally want nothing to do with God whatsoever, yet try to say they're a Catholic or a Christian or whatever the heck they think they are, when there's really no godliness to them whatsoever. Parts of New York, or I mean, like in New York, like abortions allowed, like after birth abortions and such, and it's no wonder. You think of all these crazy things happening, like again, like an earthquake 2 days before this happens, or 4 days, 4 days before the eclipse happens. That's gonna, again, like, it's just fascinating that there's a spot in the country where there's an X, and oftentimes that could mean judgment of the Lord and such, judgment from the Lord happening at some point in time, or just simply the Lord's protection, kind of coming off this country without a bunch of prayer from all of us out there. We have to pray. We have to pray for this country, and again, hopefully better leadership as well. Is it all just a random coincidence, and we all just kind of need to say heck with it? It's a combination, like, I think some people are taking it too far, where at the same time, I mean, it's different, it's fascinating, it's not something you expect a whole lot, and, that there's an actual X where there's going to be a total eclipse within 7 years in the same area, that's kind of like right around the center of the country. Almost looks like a Confederate flag when you look at them together with the X in the middle. It's kind of interesting when you look at it, like the X of the whole country and such. It's really crazy and kind of weird at the end of the day. But again, for it to happen twice in 7 years, and in that same area, that same general area, there was an earthquake so powerful not too long ago, or like 100 years ago, where the Mississippi, I almost called it the Nile, was flowing backwards because of the power of the earthquake around, was it like in the early 1900s and also in the 1800s, something like that. So, and these were during total eclipses. Is it a coincidence? Is there some kind of weird magnetic cause in all of this? It's pretty wild and pretty weird and crazy. So, I mean, I know I'm actually distracted with a silent YouTube video going in the background, just to kind of like something to kind of go off of. It's fascinating when you consider all the different strange things going on. Around the same time of the earthquake in the area of New Jersey, and that obviously affected New York and such as well. New York and New Jersey are kind of like the same area, basically, the tri-state area, they like to call it. Lightning struck during a storm around the same time. Lightning struck the Statue of Liberty right on the torch. So, I don't know. Like, what does that mean? Like, judgment's coming, this and that. Judgment's coming because of that part of the world, that part of the country, where they have partial birth abortion and all that. Like, they just don't care after, they just don't care. They just like, it's all about this and that, women's rights to choose, and the obsession of it. Not just the fact that they're about, pro-choice, this and that, but their obsession with it as well. Like, they're obsessed with it. Like, all of you that are pro-life, or you're just using that word to make yourself feel better, this and that, when in reality you're just denying a women's rights to choose, and da-da-da-da-da. They have to come up with all this arrogance on top of it. So, I don't know. I mean, is it a coincidence that an earthquake and a lightning strike of the the monument of the United States, in a lot of ways, the Statue of Liberty, getting struck by lightning right on the torch? It's insanely fascinating to think that all that could happen. Is it a sign of something? I don't know. Or is it just a crazy coincidence? I don't know. But it feels like a sign of something. Like, there's obviously like a shot across the bow at the bare minimum. Like, hey, knock it off. Is it God basically saying, knock it the heck off? Or is it literally like a prequel of something, it's coming, I've had enough of you, that type of thing. So we'll see. it's up to us Christians to pray and pray hard for this country, pray hard, that for the right leadership to come. Obviously, voting is important, and yet at the same time, voting doesn't necessarily guarantee anything for this country. We all voted for George W. Bush in 2000 and 2004. Was he this great godly Christian that led this country in the right place? I'm not really so sure of that. H.W. Bush, he was a stronger Christian than Ronald Reagan. Oh, he's going to be wonderful. Was he? Does H.W. Bush look like a good guy? I don't think he does. I mean, when you look at his history and what he was involved with and what the whole Bush family's been involved with this New World Order and all that, and constantly talking about the New World Order, which is what H.W. Bush did, is that somebody you look at as a godly person that was going to take this country in the right direction? I don't think so. And it's sad. It's sad, but true at the same time. I mean, that is not a good person. That is not somebody that was right for this country. Was Bill Clinton right for this country? Heck no. Heck no. I mean, just about everything wrong. Yet at the same time, he's still better than Biden or Obama could ever hope to be at the end of the day, when you consider Obama was an absolute divider. He was literally put there to divide this country. I mean, that's what the New World Order wants, divide and conquer. That's what it's all about. I mean, this country was united in the days of Ronald Reagan. And, well, voting for H.W. Bush at the time because, well, he's the vice president of Ronald Reagan. I mean, he must be, he's just going to carry the torch and keep this country united. Unfortunately, the division started with H.W. Bush, and then it got worse with Clinton, and it got worse with Bush. Obviously, all the wars and everything, like the more and more division, you're either with us or with the terrorists. I mean, at the time, I voted for Bush, and I was enthusiastic about it. But by 2005, 2006, it's like the light bulb was going off. We're being had. This guy's about as conservative as I'm liberal. Like, it's not going to happen. It's all bullcrap. It's all a facade. It's all garbage. And then Obama, holy crap! You go from all the, you're with us you're either with us or with the terrorists, and all that, and then you get Obama. He's the absolute divider of all time, constantly talking about race. Basically, where it got to a point where we're all sick and tired of hearing about it, could get out of here. All it did was take a country that was united and divide it in half. All of this process. So by the time we got another Ronald Reagan type with a little bit more of a snarky personality in Donald Trump, the country was divided, and it's a huge mess. And they look at, Trump's racist, Trump's a divider. Trump is not a divider. The division already happened. The division had already happened. So anytime Trump said anything, half of the country was offended and acted like a bunch of, crying babies because he wasn't super sweet and kind about it, like maybe Ronald Reagan could be at times. Trump was more to the point than Ronald Reagan, more direct at the end of the day. And in some ways, that's stronger. He's like a stronger version of Ronald Reagan. Yet the country had already been divided, so it's like, he's a divider. No, you're set in your ways. A lot of you that are on the left, we're set in their ways. So, I don't know. It just feels like this has all been kind of leading up to something, and of course it is. Obviously, divide and conquer, this and that. Thankfully, it looks like the country has been uniting a lot more behind the scenes, that a lot of minorities are realizing that Obama was not even close to what some people originally thought around Inauguration Day for Barack Obama. There was this positive feeling like maybe, just maybe, racial relations and all that in this country would improve dramatically with Barack Obama. And there was even prophecies that Barack Obama would, unite this country. He'd unite the races and all that. And that ended up being about as far from the truth as, anything. It was complete garbage. Complete garbage. And it's too bad. It's unfortunate. So I don't think Barack Obama was of God at all. But at the time, there was really, it just wasn't like the time wasn't right for somebody that could possibly help unite this country somehow. And at the same time, I don't think a lot of us were praying enough, myself included. I'm at the top of that list of people listening of not praying enough. I'm at the top of the list. I need to be much better. So what's all this leading towards? Obviously, closer and closer to the end. Is the end really close? It's got to be. The whole conversation of the generation will not pass away, 1948, when Israel became a country again. 1948 is when it happened. My mom was born in 1948, so she's an example of the generation not passing away. But they're getting older, and they're getting a lot older. 1948 is a long time ago now. It's after the war. It's baby boomers and all of that. But so the baby boomer generation shall not pass away, according to the Bible, before the end comes. Before the end comes, we get into the, we get the rapture, the tribulation, and the end. Eventually, the Battle of Armageddon, and the new millennium, and after that, the new heaven and new earth. So it's going to be fascinating. I know I'm going very deep into this, and I'm taking it as far. I'm taking it all over the place. These are good rabbit holes, though. This isn't the kind of rabbit hole where it's distracting the show necessarily. This is kind of what today's about. Kind of end times-ish, kind of current/end times-ish things going on. And, of course, how we kind of got where we're at in such a divisive in just such a divisive planet right now, starting with the West here in the United States. And obviously a lot of the unbelievable immorality taking place. Again, making basically like Sunday like a transgender recognition day. Isn't that what it was? Easter Sunday, Transgender Recognition Day. So, of course, this could lead to some type of judgment here. This could. It's not because transgenders aren't children of God, because they are. But they're making a terrible choice. And when your President of the United States is mocking Easter Sunday, when Christ is risen, and turning it into a Transgender Recognition Day, clearly something's up. Lightning strikes the Statue of Liberty, and then this strange happening of this eclipse, the path of the eclipse that's coming up, is interesting, and how it does feel like X can mark judgment. Like, yeah, this could be. I mean, maybe it is the end of the United States. I don't know. I'm still hoping and believing that. That we will have an election in November, and that this country is going to be much more united to knock this son of a biscuit out of office, and many others with him that support him, and that support him and follow him, follow his ways, follow exactly the policies of a Joe Biden, a Barack Obama. That these people need to be put in their place. They've lied to us. Their arrogance is undeniable. Like if you don't vote for me, you ain't black. Like, who is Joe Biden to say that to anybody? Do you realize how many black people now are not supporting Joe Biden? Not just because of that, but because of, well, what has he done for you? Tell me what he's done. What has he truly done for you? Like an illegitimate way of possibly putting somebody to the front of the line. Earn your way to the front of the line. That's all. Like earn the job, earn the school, earn this, earn that, earn the award, earn the recognition. That's what it's all about. It's not about identity politics. So now I'm going down that rabbit hole, and I'll try to get off of that for now. But it's always going to be something. It's just freedom of thought. Freedom of thought here. Freedom of thought is being freedom of thought. That's what it's all about. Fascinating, absolutely. So again, the 7 cities named Nineveh. Is it like a final little message, just like Nineveh, where, yeah, pray, ask for forgiveness, show that you're still here. Show, bleep or get off the pot, that type of thing too. One thing or another. That's why God spits out lukewarm. He'd rather you be cold than lukewarm, that type of thing. Just like when you're asking, when you're talking to somebody, do you want to be with me or not? And they just don't answer you. I'd rather hear no. I'd rather hear the word no. Do you want to hang out? Do you want to do this? Do you want to date me? Do you want to marry me? Whatever the heck. Just say no. If you don't, instead of playing games and not answering, I'd rather you just say no and we could move on. Goodbye. Rather than just playing around. So stuff like that, obviously, it's all kind of relative when you put 2 and 2 together. So, yes, it's a fascinating possibility here coming up again with obviously the path of it and all that. Small area that's kind of connecting around, was it Missouri, Illinois, I believe, Indiana a bit. That's all kind of connecting in the same area. I had it up a second ago. I apologize. The X that marks the spot and all that interesting stuff. Yeah, here it is. Well, sort of. It's kind of hard to see on this one. Yeah, but obviously Missouri and Illinois are very much there. God, that's just not a good map. It's not a very good map. It was up a minute ago. I believe they're even talking. Yeah, you can kind of read it in the text. But how they talk about it again. This is nationaleclipsewordpress.com. Okay, well, interesting. It's been said that on average, a total solar eclipse can be seen from the same place once every 375 years. The methodology used by whoever calculated this number is unknown, and it's debatable whether there can even be a definitive methodology for such a calculation. Well, that's nicely worded. For instance, how many points on Earth do you use to arrive at an average number of years? But regardless of the math, there's no denying that the fact that a total eclipse is a relatively rare event for any given place. So for an area to get not one but two total eclipses in just 7 years is truly a remarkable occurrence. Okay, here we go. An area spanning parts of Missouri, Illinois, and Kentucky, so it's 3 states, will be the nexus of the next 2 solar eclipses to occur in the U.S. Okay, so this is way back. Wow. On August 21st, 2017 and April 8th, 2024, because the 2017 eclipse travels from across the country from the northwest to southeast, and the 2024 eclipse makes its way through the nation from the southwest to the northeast. The 2 paths cross each other and create a zone of overlapping totality of almost 9,000 square miles, or roughly the size of New Jersey. And amazing how that state pops up somehow, just randomly like that. That's kind of weird. New Jersey. Okay. Although no major American cities are located within the totality of the zone, a few decent-sized ones are. In Illinois, Carbondale is located in the northern quadrant of the zone, and Marion is located in the eastern. In the southern quadrant, there's Paducah, Kentucky, and Cape Girardeau, Missouri. Farmington, Missouri is located in the western quadrant. Shawnee National Forest is completely enclosed within the zone of totality, and both the Mississippi and Ohio rivers run through it. Yeah, and again, there's conversations about earthquakes that take place during these, some type of magnetic shift, possibly. I don't know. I mean, and there's all kinds of talk about like the magnetics. How do you even say? Like a magnetic scale is going to shift on this planet, and that it happens every X amount of years, every many years, and it's going to happen again soon, and it causes a lot of chaos actually when that kind of thing happens. So interesting. Yeah. It is pretty cool, and again, like it's cool and scary at the same time. And again, an earthquake that was so powerful years ago that it caused the Mississippi River to flow backwards for an extended period. So, it caused a lot of interesting and crazy damage that took place. So, yeah, it is, absolutely nuts that those kind of things can happen. This is actually a pretty old article, so they were talking about this way back in 2016. So they knew about this X way back in 2016. Yet, nobody talked about it back then. Nobody else really talked about it back then, yet this article was written way back in 2016. Isn't that cool? Yeah, see, like most of us didn't hear about it until this year. So, that is fascinating stuff, actually, when you think about it. Nationaleclipse.com. I want to check something here. I wonder if they'll let me. I don't know. Either way, yeah, heck with it. So I'll just use a different image. I don't think I want to. Yeah, I don't want to steal images. That doesn't look good for me to do that necessarily. So, yeah, it's not a very definitive image. It's just what it is. But yeah, nationaleclipse.com. So that's interesting to look at. No doubt about it. I think 2016. Isn't that darned? Yeah. But again, the earthquake in New Jersey, the strike of the Statue of Liberty. It's all fascinating stuff. It truly is. So, is it a sign of something? I guess we'll see, and we'll probably talk about it on the next show if there is anything. If not, well, it is what it is. It just passes by like 401k, basically. 401k. what's it called? Y2K basically just kind of passed by. There were some strange little things that took place, but nothing like a lot of people thought. Like everything's going to shut down. And I always imagine, like, say, the satellites, like radar and all that shutting off. And then the terrorists attack the United States. And a huge, huge, terrible thing happens. Like a massive attack on the United States. Or some other country, maybe like a China or Russia way back then when I used to see Russia as the bad guy. This or that. So, interesting. Other stuff going on again as well. Talks of Ukraine joining NATO. That's basically like, hello, World War III. Let's do that. So getting Ukraine into NATO, which would then unite all of NATO together against Russia in the current war with Russia and Ukraine, which is basically like, let's just have World War III, folks. Let's go. And then, of course, the ongoing battle going on in Israel, the war going on in Israel with Hamas / Palestine and Israel, and all the conflicting reports coming out. You have Amir Sarfati saying how, they are, these terrorists just won't stop, this and that, and we're trying to get rid of them, trying to get rid of the terrorists. And then you have other media conglomerates, be it this group or that group, alternative media, even the Alex Joneses and such, that are like Israel's committing genocide. So that's a little surprising to hear a bit. Like, say, yes, we don't want to take sides, but if Israel's committing genocide, I mean, it needs to stop. Just end it, and move on. It scares me when there's conflicting reports coming out. Like, somebody's obviously not telling the truth. Somebody's getting misinformation or giving misinformation. So that obviously is one of the reasons I haven't really touched on it, because I don't really want to get too hard and heavy into it, other than the actual event that took place was terrible. It was a terrible attack on the Israelis, and that's where I would stand with Israel, 100%, that they have the right to say, hey, no, you're going to pay for what you did, and you have no right to, we have every right to get rid of you. Terror groups are terror groups. They're there to kill people. That's the only point of the existence of any terror group, is to kill, steal, and destroy. So that's pretty much what they exist for. So kind of hard and heavy on this episode, obviously. Watched a long video about ancient giants of North America. God, I hate when people honk on their horns. I don't know why. But, ancient giants of North America. It is insane, all the things that took place in this country thousands of years ago that a lot of us never knew. I certainly didn't know. Most of you didn't either. Those of you that did, well, that's interesting and pretty cool. Giants the size of, talk of, up to like 16 feet tall, 9 feet tall, 8 feet tall, 7 feet. So 7 foot is like a giant, just not a massive giant. But then you get to 9, 10, 12, 16, even 1 to 18, like I talked about a few weeks ago, buried way down in there. Definitely before the flood. I mean, that's too far down. That's obviously going to be, sometimes I'm going to have whole shows about that, just like, history of certain events that may have taken place in the past. So obviously I'm going to still always kind of touch on it a little bit if there's something to say. So that was a great video. Ancient Giants of North America, cool stuff, again on YouTube and such. Where there's all kinds of records that took place, and how a lot of that kind of got covered up, and you don't really see it anymore. It's cool that they were able to get them out though. Like the articles might still be around, but they have been becoming harder and harder to find. And of course, all the artifacts and the skeletons and such that were found were basically, either reburied by the government or taken, confiscated by the government, never to be seen again. And we all wonder what could be going on there. One final thing tonight, I saw an interesting thing in the sky. I'm not sure what to make of it. See, satellites, you often see, it looks like a star that isn't flashing like stars twinkle, right? And then airplanes have like a little flashing light usually, right? I mean, they all do. They have the flashing light, flash, flash, flash. But you can see the airplane the whole time. it might just be lights, but clearly it's an airplane, like the flight path of an airplane, where it's kind of like a straight line. Maybe it turns a bit because it's heading towards the airport. Like here in the Twin Cities, it's going to start heading towards the southeast, towards the airport, at least from where I live in Golden Valley, Minnesota, versus like Bloomington, Richfield area, which is where the where MSP is, Minneapolis St. Paul Airport. But yeah, you can tell it's a plane. And then when you can tell it's a satellite, usually it's a non-flashing light, kind of like a dim star that's just kind of moving slowly in a little path across the sky, north, south, east, west, whatever it is, or diagonal. But it's on a consistent path, right? It's like a straight line, one way or another, going on an orbit around the Earth. That's what a satellite is something going around the Earth. What I saw tonight was a bright light that would be dim, right? And it's way up there like a satellite or something, right? Nudge, nudge. I don't know what it is, but it would kind of start. Okay, there's nothing there, right? All of a sudden, this dim light would increase in brightness, get super bright, and then fade away and disappear. And then an X amount of seconds later, it'd be a little bit further along. But it looked like it would be off like a typical path of a plane or a satellite. And it would kind of reappear again and get brighter and brighter and brighter and brighter and then disappear. And then it would be in another spot. Not way off the path, but it looked like it would be off what a satellite path would be. Like not a straight line. That's what's weird about it. Start to appear, get really bright. And I mean really bright, way brighter than a airplane, and then disappear again. If you know what that is, let me know. Maybe I'm just kind of looking at something that's a common thing that I don't know what the heck I'm talking about. Maybe it's some, maybe it's some weather satellite. Maybe it's some other type of satellite, something. But to me, that didn't look like what a satellite has always been. A slow-moving, relatively dim light moving across the sky. And then there's a faster one that's very bright and very large. That is the International Space Station. That thing is huge, and it's constantly orbiting the Earth at a very, very fast speed. The International Space Station. There's no, there is no denying that one. This was neither a satellite to me. It couldn't have been a satellite. It absolutely was not a plane, because planes do not do that. They simply don't. Here's the interesting part of all this. It's the second time I've seen one of these. Second time. Last one was late in the fall, like November, I believe. I believe it was November. It was kind of getting cold out, and it was a Saturday, just like today. I don't know. What could it have been? What could it have been? And it was around the same time, too, which, I don't know, maybe that means it is a satellite. But I've just never seen that before. And if it's something that's common, please let me know. Anybody, please. Blue Paladin Joey at yahoo.com. Facebook.com/freedom of thought. All the information is in the show description, the ways to contact me. Twitter, X, whatever, freedom of thou 76. Instagram, freedom_of_thought 1776. So again, if you have any information as to what that could be, please let me know. I mean, I'm not a kook. I saw what I saw. Absolutely saw what I saw. My dad saw it too. My nephews were just leaving, so they couldn't see it, but they heard me talking about it. And they figured, oh, that's probably just a satellite, but I don't know. My mom originally thought it was a plane when I told her about it back in, I believe it was November. Planes don't do that. They just don't do that. Again, out of nowhere. No, just a light that increases, and then dims away and disappears. Increases. Actually, it doesn't even dim away. It increases kind of semi-gradually, but not too gradual. But it gets incredibly bright, and then just kind of boop, disappears, almost like a camera, like a flash. It's just like poof. It's almost like something out there maybe taking pictures. I don't know why it would do that in the nighttime, but I don't know. Maybe it can see something we can't. But it was real weird. And for it to be the second time, and what's interesting, it was the same place again. My parents' driveway. Now, I probably would have seen it from here too, but I don't know. Something about my parents' driveway. I guess you can see more sometimes even though it's slightly closer to Minneapolis, where obviously there's more city lights and such. But luckily it's still a neighborhood. It's not like in the city or anything, so it's not that lit up. In fact, it's sometimes a very dark neighborhood. A lot of people don't turn their lights on around there very much. I guess it depends, but it was a fascinating sight. My friend at work, Jacob, thought it was a UFO. Well, that's what I would describe it as right now. Not meaning it's aliens, not meaning it's gray aliens or green aliens or this or that, but it is an unidentified flying object as far as I'm concerned. Does that mean, again, doesn't mean it's aliens or anything, but it's unidentified to me. I don't know what it could be. So it's just kind of by default, that's what I'm calling it at the moment. An unidentified flying object, a UFO. Yeah, that's, I don't know. I don't know what else to say, but again, let me know if you could. Contact me somehow if it's some kind of a common thing and I'm overreacting. But I didn't freak out or anything. I just thought what the heck is that? That's different. And again, it was on an irregular path to what I've ever seen. Planes go in their certain path. Satellites go in their certain path. This thing, that's not a typical satellite. If it is, so be it. With that said, I've said enough now. Thank you so much for listening. Talk to me about anything. If you want to talk about giants, you want to talk about politics, you want to talk about in any other type of ancient history type of thing, or current, semi-history, you want to talk about the Civil War, you want to talk about the Revolutionary War. Again, giants, Bigfoot. I haven't gotten too big into that. I don't know, but you can bring it up if you want. I'm not against it. It's freedom of thought. We'll talk about Bigfoot sometime, I'm sure. Mandela effect. I'm telling you, that's real. Mandela effect's real. I mean, it has to be. There has to be something to it. I'm definitely going to have a whole show dedicated to that, at least at some point. And I need to get guests on this show. That's the missing link to this show ever getting off the ground. It's getting some guests, and there have been some unbelievable guests on shows like Blurry Creatures. Blurry Creatures, obviously, like I just said, Confessionals. I mean, just amazing guests that have been on those shows that I think I'd like to have one or two of them on here once in a while. It'd be amazing. Not because I want to steal them from Blurry Creatures, no, because I want to hear what they have to say as well. I want them to come on this show and have something to say. It's a different group of listeners, I'm sure, even though I'm sure some of you might listen to the Blurry Creatures podcast and stuff like that and Confessionals, and a lot of you probably don't. You probably haven't heard of it yet, or just haven't gotten around to it. So, yeah, it'd be a new group, a new audience possibly for these people to talk to. So, fascinating stuff, fascinating. People that see angels, or have knowledge of the past or whatever. It's fascinating stuff. So, with that said, I've made this another interesting show, I hope. I hope you like it. Please tell your friends about it. Put in a 5-star rating if you could. Please do. Put a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or others. Again, share the show. Tell your friends. Please get this show out there. And if you don't like the show, talk to me about it. Tell me what you'd like to see improved. Please don't put a 1-star. If you could, please don't do that. Maybe give me a conversation of something like what you'd like to see improved. I'd like to bring you an honest podcast, an honest show, not one where I'm just shooting my mouth off, cursing at you, cursing about things I don't like. It's okay to do that. I mean, no, it's not. It's okay to have strong opinions, but I don't know. I just don't feel the need to curse, shoot my head off, that type of thing, just to make, to make a point. You can get your point across without that, and that's what I'd like to bring to you, if humanly possible. With that said, please put the 5-star rating or of some sort, share the show, tweet the show, retweet the show, and whatever it is, remix it on Instagram. I guess that's their retweet, I guess you could call it, on Instagram, share on Facebook, and blah, blah, blah. Until next time, though, take care, God bless you, and God bless the United States of America.